She realized something was wrong. The train had stopped at a station that didn't exist, and her name was already written on the platform. Emily Carter wasn't supposed to take that train. She missed her usual ride home by just 2 minutes, and this one, the last train of the night, was her only option. It looked normal. Old, maybe, a little quieter than usual, but nothing alarming. At least, not at first. She stepped inside, scanned her card, and took a seat near the middle of the carriage. There were a few passengers. A man in a suit staring blankly at his phone, a woman leaning against the window, eyes closed, a teenager wearing headphones, unmoving. Everything felt still, too still. The train doors closed, and it started moving. At first, everything was normal. The city lights flickered past the windows, stations came and went. But after a while, Emily noticed something strange. The train wasn't stopping anymore. Not at any station. It just kept going. Faster, smoother, quieter. Almost like it had left the city behind. She checked her phone. No signal. Time frozen. 12:17 a.m. Not changing. She frowned, tapped the screen. Nothing. Then the lights flickered. Once, twice. Then everything went dark for a full second. When the lights came back, the outside world was gone. No buildings, no streets, just darkness. Endless, deep darkness outside the windows, like the train was moving through a void. Emily sat up straight. This isn't right. She looked around. No one reacted. The man in the suit still staring at his phone. The woman still leaning against the glass. The teenager wearing headphones. None of them moved, not even slightly. The train began to slow down. A long metallic screech echoed through the carriage. And then it stopped. Emily stood up slowly, her heart beating faster now. She looked out the window. There was a platform, but it wasn't like any station she had ever seen. No signs, no advertisements, no people. Just a long, dimly lit platform stretching into nothingness. Then the doors opened, all at once. No announcement, no sound, just open. Emily hesitated. Something inside her told her not to step out, but something else, something stronger, told her she already had. She stepped onto the platform. The air felt different, heavy, cold, like it wasn't meant to be breathed. She turned back. The train was still there, doors open, passengers inside, still not moving. Then she saw it, written on the wall of the station, scratched into the surface like it had been carved by hand. Emily Carter arrived. Her blood ran cold. How? She stepped closer, touched the letters. They were real, fresh. Behind her, the train doors slammed shut. She turned instantly. Wait! But it was too late. The train began moving again, slowly at first, then faster, until it disappeared into the darkness, leaving her alone. The lights above flickered. For a moment, everything went dim, and when the lights stabilized again, the station had changed. There were more names now, hundreds of them, carved into every surface, walls, columns, floor, different handwriting, different styles, but all the same format. Name, then arrived. Emily stepped back, her breathing becoming uneven. This isn't a station. She turned around slowly, and that's when she saw the tunnel. At the far end of the platform, there was an opening, not for a train, for people. A long, dark corridor leading deeper underground. No lights, just darkness, and something else. A sound, very faint, like footsteps. She wasn't alone. "Hello?" she called out. No answer, but the sound stopped. Then started again, closer this time. Emily didn't wait. She ran toward the tunnel, away from the platform, away from the names. The corridor seemed longer than it should be. Every step echoed too loudly. The walls were smooth, cold, unnatural, and the deeper she went, the quieter, everything became. Until silence. Total silence. Then she saw a door at the end of the corridor, old, metal, slightly open, light coming from inside. She pushed it open slowly and stepped in. It was a control room, rows of monitors, screens flickering, showing trains, different times, different people, all stopping at that same platform. Emily stepped closer to one screen and froze because she saw herself sitting in the train, looking at her phone like earlier. No, that's not possible. She moved closer. The version of her on the screen suddenly looked up directly at her and smiled. Emily stumbled back, heart racing. What is this place? Then a voice spoke behind her, calm, quiet. You're not supposed to see this part. She turned slowly. A man stood in the doorway, same uniform as a train conductor, but something about him felt wrong. Too still, too perfect. You got off too early. Emily shook her head. I didn't choose to come here. The man tilted his head slightly. No one ever does. The screens behind her flickered, and now all of them showed the same thing. Her, standing in that room, from different angles. This station, she whispered. What is it? The man smiled faintly. It's not a station. It's a filter. Emily felt her stomach drop. A filter for what? The man stepped closer. For people who aren't supposed to continue. The lights flickered again. The room glitched, and for a moment, Emily saw something behind the walls. Not machinery, not wires, but something alive, moving, watching. She backed away. I'm leaving. The man shook his head slowly. You already stayed. The door behind her slammed shut. The screens went dark, and the room began to shift. The last thing Emily saw was her own name appearing on a final screen. But this time, it didn't say arrived. It said processed. And somewhere, far away, another train began to slow down, stopping at a station that doesn't exist, waiting for the next name to be written.